Social anxiety has become an epidemic today, man. It's a plague. It's something that is keeping people from living the life that we want, okay? Living that beautiful life that is rich in experience and rich with people, okay? And we all crave to connect, to have more friends, to have beautiful women in our lives, to have great dating lives. But the thing that holds us back is social anxiety, and it's being fed by using the cell phones. It's being fed by, you have a rejection and then that's it. You kind of shut down and you're over, and people, are getting more afraid to like have conversations and have, and actually walk up to strangers and go out in social situations and talk to people. And the crazy part about this is you'll get social anxiety in the beginning or even before you go to these things, but once you go and socialize and warm up, you start to feel great. And you're like, man, that was awesome the whole time. But the sad part is that the social anxiety usually kills us from even getting started or going there in the first place, and it's terrible. So what I want to do for you in this video is I have a 3-step formula, 3-step process here, and 3 things that you could do to eliminate your social anxiety so that you can meet more people, have beautiful experiences in person. Because I'll tell you what, when you're at the end of your life and you're looking back, you're never going to say, man, I had a great time sitting on my phone on Instagram. That was the best part of my life. I had a great time sending emails. I had a great time scrolling through Facebook and seeing all the cool stuff people were doing. Man, that was the best part of my life. Never. The best part of your life is always going to be great times and experience with people in person. I want you to have more of those, and I want you to kill your social anxiety so you can make more of that happen. So without further ado, the first thing that you can do to eliminate social anxiety, okay? I have someone close to me who I was thinking about recently who's been suffering with a lot of social anxiety. And one thing I said is you have to start with this, and this is something I learned from studying anxieties and phobias. You have to start with gradual exposure, okay? And what I mean by gradual exposure is you have to take small actions that work your way up, okay? Fear of public places and fear of talking to people in person, that's a phobia, dude. That social anxiety is a phobia, and you have to treat it as such and slowly work your way up. I tell guys, man, like if you're out at night and you're afraid to talk to girls, start with a high five, right? Just high five somebody walking by, right? Talk to a guy, right? Give somebody a compliment and want nothing back. Just say, hey, I like your dress, or hey, I like your shoes. Hey, I like your hair. Hey, that shirt's really cool. And leave it at that, and then back out. These are all little exposures that you can do. Hey man, the first exposure may be just showing up, right? It may just be just going somewhere where people are. That may be the first exposure. I remember in a book that I read from David D'Angelo back in the day, he said, if you're really afraid to talk to women and whatnot, just go to some of these venues and just hang out, just watch and see have a drink or sit on a bar stool, or go with a friend if you want or not, and just sit and watch and observe and see how things go. Acclimate yourself to the environment, expose yourself to it, and you won't be afraid of it so much. One cool little exposure thing that I think is awesome that I've done before is if you have local spots that you go to a lot, go to them during the day. Okay? I've noticed that some venues can be very intimidating at night. A great example of this, I think this is so awesome. One of the biggest and one of the most, it's actually the most successful club in the entire world it was a few years ago, I think it still is XS. It's a club in Las Vegas, okay? And if you go to XS, on a busy weekend, there's 10,000 people in there. The music's blaring. It's so crowded. It's an intimidating place, okay? It's the biggest, baddest club in the entire world. It makes them more money than anywhere else. It's very intimidating. But a friend of mine was staying at the hotel where the club is at the Encore, and we went to the pool during the day, okay? And the whole club revolves around a pool. And we went there during the day, and I just walked around. I was like, oh yeah, this is Excess. This is the club. But I went there during the day, and there was just a couple people sitting on a few chairs, and that place went from like being super intimidating to being absolutely nothing. I was like, this is just like a little pool and some outdoor area. Now I'm like looking around, seeing the venue. This is where the cabanas are, and I got so comfortable with the environment. I believe we went there that night where I felt like I was in my backyard. So that's like a little tip that you can do, is you can go to some of these places during the day, and there's so much chill, and you can kind of take in the stimulation, and you'll see things that you hadn't noticed before, and you'll get more comfortable in these places. So that's like a little thing that you could definitely do, which is really powerful. And then, like I said, as you're exposing yourself, compliments, high fives, just talking to women. Why not talk to some older women or women you're not super attracted to at first, just to kind of get warmed up? How about just saying hi? Like, okay, my goal tonight is to say hi to 3 women. That's it. Just say hi. Don't have to do anything else. The next goal may be to say hi and see what happens after. The point is to gradually expose yourself, okay? If you say, I have to go out tonight and I have to pick up the hottest girl in the venue or something like that, dude, like, that's so much pressure, man. You're gonna feel terrible. You're gonna feel tons of anxiety. Start small, gradually expose yourself and work your way up. Wherever you are at, think of the next littlest step up that you can take to expose yourself to get out. That's where you want to start, okay? Now, the second thing to killing your social anxiety is to kill your amplifiers, okay? And what I mean by that is there are things that for sure in your life, I know for sure in my life, there are things that amplify my social anxiety 100%. You know what's one of those things that gives me way more social anxiety that I recently have cut down to almost nothing? Instagram, okay? Being on Instagram and being on social media and spending a lot of time on my phone, looking at people posting the best parts of their lives, doing all this awesome stuff. I like recluse and get like FOMO and like feel like I'm less worthy. And all this stuff, I've noticed it makes me more nervous to go out and all this stuff. And I sit at home and sit on my phone and get more and more into my head. That definitely amplifies my social anxiety. You know what amplifies my social anxiety? Working too hard on my computer and not scheduling time to hang out with my friends. That amplifies my social anxiety, okay? Looking at really attractive girls on your phone, whether you're watching, God forbid you're watching porn or Instagram or whatever it may be, and you're looking at pictures of really hot women, you're gonna get more nervous and more intimidated and you're gonna be more nervous to go out and meet them in person. You're gonna make things too big of a deal. You know what else could cause more social anxiety? Making things a big deal, right? Reading too much, researching too much, watching too many YouTube videos, and making meeting women too big of a deal. I know it's a big thing, it's a big task. I'm going to play the Super Bowl tomorrow, going to meet some women. The bigger deal you make it, the more social anxiety you have. So you have to kill those things that amplify it. I like to, friends that make meeting women too big of a deal or whatever, or give you shit when you approach women and get rejected, that's going to give you more social anxiety. So analyze the things, the deep down things that amplify your social anxiety and make it worse, and eliminate those from your life, okay? So I use my phone less, I hang out with my friends more, I go out with people who like to have fun and they're more comfortable when they're out, and that's all made my social anxiety dwindle down. And the last thing I have on here, and is the most important thing, okay? I talked to a buddy of mine, and we talked about social anxiety because he was having some social anxiety, and I know I have it too, especially when I'm home and I'm typing and working a lot. We're talking about eliminating social anxiety, and we said, what's the number one thing that you can do that will absolutely crush and destroy your approach anxiety, okay? And that's approaching women, okay? If you go out in person and approach women, something about stepping up to the plate, even if you get rejected, and just dealing with it and saying, hey, wow, she rejected me and it wasn't that big deal. I'm cool with it, and we didn't get along or whatever, and I'm totally fine. I'm still here and I'm good. Man, doing that, and especially doing it consistently and being that's about as social as you can be, right? Going into sometimes a harsh environment, right? If you're at a club, God forbid, or something like that. Like if I go to, let's say that club in Vegas, I'm at somewhere like Access or something that's a really loud, stimulating club, and I go there sober, and I talk to women and have some good interactions, and whatever happens. If I could do that, you could send me into a business meeting the next day and I'm going to crush it, because I was just in a highly stimulating environment. I was approaching women, which so many guys fear, and it just builds your social courage, builds your social juices, builds your muscles. I was out this weekend. I went out Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with a friend of mine. We had a good time. We talked to a ton of women. And today I filmed a ton of videos for you guys because I was in such a great mood. This is so important. This is the lesson here, man. If I spent an entire week and I just worked on my computer, okay, and today was time to film videos for you guys, the first video would be me sitting there like that. I would have nothing to say, nothing would be flowing. I'd have so much anxiety and I'd be so in my head. But the fact that I spent some time with my friends this week, that I went out, and that most importantly, I approached women, like warmed up socially, and I feel like I could conquer the world, man. And that's why I teach this stuff, and that's why I think this skill is so important, because it's so much more. It's about so much more than approaching women, man. It's not just about approaching women and picking women up and getting numbers and all that stuff, and that's cool, but the person that you become from facing your fears, the person that you become from putting yourself out there socially, from getting out of your comfort zone and really pushing yourself socially, the amount of growth that you get as a person changed my entire life, gave me the courage to start a business, gave me the courage to share this with you guys on YouTube, and not worry if someone comments and doesn't like it. It doesn't bother me, right? The courage and everything that I gained from going out there in the trenches and approaching women, let alone all the amazing experiences and all the fun and when I look on my rocking chair and look back, I'm going to say, man, I lived a good life, right? All that awesome stuff I did was because I went out and I approached women, I approached strangers. Hey, man, I just made a new best friend who I go out with all the time. You know how I met him? I approached him. I saw him out. I was like, hey, man, you seem like a really cool dude. We should hang out sometime and go out. And I always, I see you out. Let's hang out. I just approached him, right? Those skills that I built and the courage that I built from approaching women, man, kills social anxiety like no other. I was talking to my buddy, like I said, and we were trying to think what other things will help cure the social anxiety and get you into that really good extroverted state. What will do that better than cold approaching women? And we couldn't come up with anything. Salsa is great. Some people go to improv classes to learn humor. I think that's great. Do that. Toastmasters, awesome. Going to meetups, all this stuff is great. Public speaking, awesome. But I found nothing makes me grow more socially and murders and eliminates my social anxiety like going out and socializing and approaching women. So I encourage you to push yourself out of your comfort zone and start small. Start with the gradual exposure, right? Start with eliminating the things that amplify your social anxiety, and then eventually get to a point where you're going out and approaching women. And I'll tell you what, you'll be way more social, much happier, have great experiences, and social anxiety will become a thing of the past. If you have any more questions for me, feel free to add them to the comments below, and I'll film a video for you guys on any topics that you're interested about.